Hello guys and welcome back. Hope you all are doing great. I'm sure at some point of your life you guys must have played can knockdown game. Very simple concept but very addictive. And if you have ever dreamed of creating one, then get ready. We are going to create a can knockdown game in this video. In this video, we are going to check swipe control to add throw force, level manager, sound manager, singleton, and more. So without any further delay, let's get started. Before we start, you need to download and import the starter project. So go to description, click on starter project link, download Unity package, then create Unity project, change the platform to Android, and import the package to it. Now we are ready to follow the tutorial. So here I have already opened the starter project. So as you can see here, we have default sounds, then we have default art. I have already created few prefab which we are going to use like can, ball, level button. Then we also have some level prefabs. I will show you how to create a level. This we will be using at the end of our game. Then I have also created a simple UI. As you can see here, this is a simple UI. Then we have this game menu. Then we have this game over panel as well. And we also have a simple scene which is of a 3D art. So the link to this 3D art as well as the asset which I am using will be in the description. You can check it. So first we will just deactivate this 3D and GUI canvas because we don't need right now. The first thing we want is the platform for our ball. Click on create and create an empty game object. Let's reset it and let's call this ball platform. Now in ball platform, right click and create a 3D cube. Set the X scale to 4 or 5, Y to let's say it is 1, Z to maybe 2, okay. And in materials folder we have this platform material, so just drag over it and you can see we are having this like this. Now again click on ball platform, right click and create an empty game object and let's call this ball position. So this will be the position at which our ball will be spawning. So if I zoom in, you can see it is too inside. So if I just drag the ball here, you can see our ball has to be like 0.93 in Y. So I will just delete this prefab and change the ball position game object position to 0.95. Let's drag our ball to the scene and we will create a swipe controller for adding force to our ball. And one thing guys, if you see our ball prefab, it has a rigid body as well as a sphere collider and a tail renderer. In rigid body you can see is kinematic is true because when we spawn our ball we don't want any physics to act on it. We want to add physics only when we complete our swipe. So at the start it will be is kinematic. So in scripts folder, right click and create a new C# script and let's call this swipe controller. So double click on it to open it in editor. So this swipe control script is inspired from the YouTuber named Alexander. He also create videos on Unity. So you can check out his tutorial. The link will be in the description. So first we will make our swipe controller an instance. so that we can access swipe controller from any script without giving any references. So we will create a public static swipe controller instance. Then in awake, what we do is we will check if instance is equal to null. That means the instance variable is empty. Then we set instance equal to this, and else if instance is not null, then we destroy this. So now we need force to throw our ball. So for that we will create a private float throw force xy. So this force will be applied in x and y direction. Then we will create a private float throw force z. So this force will be applied in z direction. Now to decide the direction in which we want to throw our ball as well as the amount of force with which we need to throw it, so we need to create private vector2 start position, end position and direction. Then we need a private float start tap time, end tap time and total time. So the time we are going to use for deciding the magnitude of our force. Then we need a private game object target object. So this is the object on which we will be applying our force. Then we also need a private bool can swipe, which will be false by default, and this bool we are going to use so that we know whether we can swipe or not. So in update, what we will do is we will first check whether our target object is null, and if it is true then we return. That means we will not perform any code below this statement. Then we'll check if input dot get mouse button down 0. That means if we have clicked our mouse button, then we set our start tap time equal to time.time, our start position equal to input dot mouse position, and we set our can swipe is equal to true. Then we will check if input dot get mouse button up 0 is true. Then we will set our end tap time equal to time.time. Then our total time will be equal to end tap time minus start tap time. Our end pose will be equal to input dot mouse position. Then our direction will be end position minus our start position. Once we have all of this, we will set our target rigid body is kinematic equal to false. Then we need to add force to our target. So we will set our target object dot get component rigid body dot add force. The x will be direction dot x into throw force xy. Y will be direction dot y into throw force xy, and our z will be throw force z divided by total time. So this makes sure that if you take more time in swiping, our z force will be less. So as fast as we swipe, the force will be more. After that, we will set our can swipe equal to false. So let's go and try it. So let's create a new game object and let's call this swipe controller, and let's drag our swipe controller on it. So in swipe controller we need a target which is empty right now. Just drag our ball to it And if I click on play, so let's swipe, you can see we are able to add force to our ball. As you can see here, I can keep adding force. So let's go back to our script. Now we don't want to add force again and again to the same game object. Once we have applied any force to our ball, we won't be applying any force to that same ball again. So for that, we will set our target object is equal to null after we have added force to that object. Okay, so our swipe control is working. So let's delete our ball as we don't need it right now in our swipe controller. So instead of setting our target object by inspector, we want to set it from a script. So for that, we will create a getter and setter. So public game object target object get return target object and set target object is equal to value. Now we need a level manager which will manage our level. So he will be responsible for spawning our levels as well as our balls. So for that, we will in our scripts folder right click and create a new C# script, and let's rename it to level manager. Let's create a empty game object and drag our level manager to it, and let's call this level manager. Okay, now double click on level manager to open it in editor. So first we will make our level manager an instance. So go to swipe controller. Let's copy our awake method from here and let's paste it here, and up we will create a public static level manager instance. So here we will have reference to our ball prefab. So we'll create a public game object ball prefab variable, and then we will also have a reference to our ball spawn position. So we'll create a public transform ball spawn position. Let's remove this, we don't need them. So here we will create a new method and called it public void spawn ball. This method will responsible for spawning our balls. In that we'll create a new game object ball which will be equal to instantiate ball prefab. The position will be our ball spawn position and the rotation will be 0. That means nothing. Then we will set our swipe controller target object equal to our ball, and let's call this spawn ball method in our start method for checking purpose. So let's save our level manager and go back to our editor, and let's create a level. So create an empty game object, reset its position, and let's call this level maybe 0. Then inside our level we need a 3D cube. Its scale will be 6, and I think Y and Z are okay. Then we need to attach our platform material on it. Let's move our this level 0 to, let's say, Y maybe 1 and Z 8.5, like that. Okay. Okay, let's set our Z to be 1.5, and in that we need to add our can. So just drag our can prefab to it. Let's see where it is. Okay, let's set to 0 0, and let's drag it up like this. Okay, right click, duplicate, let's set our x to 1, duplicate this one -1, then duplicate again this one, let's say -0.5, and our y will be, let's drag it up, duplicate, let's set our x to positive 0.5, again duplicate, set the x to 0, and let's drag it up. Okay, so in our level manager, let's drag our ball to our ball prefab, and for our ball spawn position we have this. In our ball platform we have this game object, so drag it there. If I click on play, you can see we are spawning our ball, and let's add some force. As you can see here, we are able to smash our cans. Okay, so now what you can do is you can just drag this level 0 game object, and let's make it a prefab about it. Let's delete this. So just remember our position y is 1 as well as our z is 8.5. So let's delete this. Now we need one more script to store our level data. That means how many cans we need to smash as well as how many balls we have. So for that we will create a new C# script, and we will call this level data. Double click and open it in editor. So in level data we don't need the start and update. We only need public int can count and public int ball count. So just save the script and go back to our editor. Click on our level 0, open the prefab, and let's drag our level data on it. So our can count, as you can see, it is 6. So I will just set it to 6. And let's say in 3 ball counts, we need to smash all of them. Okay, let's go back, and in our level manager, we will also spawn our level prefab. So we will create a public array of level data. Here we are using array because we have multiple levels, and we know how many levels we are going to have at the start of our game. So that's why we are using array and we are not using list, because we don't need that. So here we will create a new method called public void spawn level, and in that we will create a level data variable called level, and we will instantiate our first level from our level data's array at a position of vector 3. X will be 0, y will be 2.5, and z will be 8.5. Our rotation will be identity, which is what the prefab has, and we will get the level data component. Now we also need to store our available cans and balls for that particular level. So for that what we will do is, so we will create a private int available cans and available balls, and in our spawn level method we will set our available cans equal to level dot can count and available balls equal to level dot ball count. And instead of calling our spawn ball in our start, let's remove it from here. We don't need our start, and let's call it here. So here we will check if available balls is greater than 0, then only we will spawn our ball, and we also reduce our available balls by 1. So if I go back to the editor in our level manager, let's drag. So let's set our level data size to 1 and drag our level 0 prefab here, and let's so before we play we need to call our spawn level method for testing. So in in start method we will just call our spawn level method. So let's click on play. As you can see, we are spawning our level as well as our ball. Okay, now we need few more things. Let's drag our level 0 here, and let's activate our this surrounded environment. So it looks something like this. Okay, so maybe I can just, all right. So one thing guys, if you see in our surrounded, we have this plane here, this one. We are calling this a destroyer, and the destroyer is used for destroying all the fallen cans as well as balls on this destroyer. And then we also need a wall. So in for creating a wall, so in our surrounded, right click and create a 3D cube, and let's call this a wall. Let's move it here somewhat. Okay, move it up. Let's set its z to 0.5. Let's increase our y something like okay, this makes 16, and our x also let's say 16, or maybe 20. So now we have this ball. So whenever our ball hits this ball, it will go down and it won't go beyond this thing. And but we don't need our mesh. So what we can do for that is we'll just remove our mesh renderer component, and we also remove our this mesh filter component. You can see still we are having that collider with us. So let's delete this prefab. Let's click on play. Okay, now we are having this. Okay, so just swipe and you can see here our ball hits the wall and goes down. Okay, so now we want to what you can say, respawn the ball once it hits the destroyer. So for that we will create a new script, get destroyed. Now get destroyed script will be common for our can as well as our ball, because we want to destroy both of them when they fall on the floor or destroyer. So just double click on the script to open it. So first we will create a public enum object type, and our types will be ball and can, and we will make it system.serializable so that we can access it from our Unity inspector. We don't need our start and update method. Then we will create a on collision enter method, and in that we will check if our collision.collider.name is equal to destroyer. As we know, we have renamed our uh, floor to destroyer. In that we will check for switch cases of object types, and if it is a ball type then we will perform some logic here, and for can we will do something else, and after that we will destroy our game object. So for ball we need to call our spawn ball method. So here we will call our level manager dot instance dot spawn our ball. So let's go back, click on our ball prefab, open it, drag our get destroyed script to it, and let's set our object type to ball. And for can, let's drag it and let's set it to can. Okay, so if I click on play, let's throw our ball, and you see it got destroyed and we have spawned our new ball. So let's click on again, So as you can see here guys, after 3 balls we didn't spawn any new ball, because we know for our this level we can maximum spawn only 3 balls, and in our level manager, in our spawn ball method we have a check for our available balls. So as soon as we are out of our balls, we cannot spawn any more balls, and we need to, let's just show our game over thing. So first let's create a new C sharp script, and let's call this UI manager. Activate our game UI canvas and drag our UI manager to it. Double click on our UI manager. So in UI manager, we need to reference for our text as well as for our panels. So for that we'll create using Unity engine.ui. So if you go back to our editor, you can see uh, in our game menu top bar we have our can information, which shows our can count, as well as our ball information, which shows our ball count. Then we also have game over panel, which has a retry button as well as a next button. So we will create a private text, can text, and ball text variable. Then we need a private game object, main menu, game menu, game over panel, retry button, and next button to store our references. Now our can text and ball text will be edited from other scripts. So for that we will create a getter for both of them. So we'll create a public text can text get return can text, and public text ball text get return our ball text. Now we want our UI manager to be an instance. So for that we will create a public static UI manager instance. Let's go to our game manager, copy our awake method, and let's paste it here. Let's go back to our editor, and in our UI manager, so we forgot to make it a serialized field, so let's make them serialized so that we can edit them from our inspector. Okay, so let's drag our can count text to our can text, ball count text to our ball text. Then we need our reference to our main menu, reference to our game menu, reference to our game over panel, reference to our retry button, as well as our next button. Okay, so now as we know we have multiple levels, so we need to show some kind of grid of our buttons to select the respective levels. So before that we will just populate our level manager. So let's go to our level 1, and in level 1 you can see we have 6 can, as well as what we can do is we'll just add our level data script to it, set our can count to 6, and let's say ball count to 4. And similarly for level 2 we have 6 can, so let's add level data, 6 can, 4 ball counts. Then for level 3, how many we have like 12 level data, we have 12 cans, let's say 6 ball counts. Then for level 4 we have like 2 and 6, and here we will, let's say 6. For level 5 we have how many, 1 2 5, okay, 5 and let's say 4. And you get it guys, you can just edit other remaining levels. right? Let's go back. In our level manager, let's set our level data's value to 5. So first one will be our level 1, then our level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. Okay, now uh, we need to populate our this grid. If I go to our main menu in our level button holder, this is our level button holder. You can see on this level button holder we have a mask component as well as a scroll rect component, and we are scrolling it in a vertical axis. In that we have a container. It has a grid layout group on it and a content size filter, as well as if you see its anchoring, it is stretched over the top. So what we'll do is we'll go to our UI manager, and here we will create a new game object variables called container and level button prefab. So for level button prefab, you can see in our prefab folder we have this level button prefab. If I click on this open prefab, inside our level button prefab we have a text. So this text shows the index of our level. We don't need update. So here we will create a method called create level buttons. In that we will create a for loop where I starts from 0 and the max value will be less than our level manager dot instance dot level data dot length. Now inside that we will create a game object button object, and we will instantiate a level button prefab inside our container. Then we will get reference to the first child, so button object dot transform dot get child 0, and we will get the text component on it and set its text equal to quotation plus I plus 1. As we know our I starts from 0, so we are adding 1 to it, and then we get a reference to our button, so button is equal to button object dot get component button. So for our button we will create a new method that is on click, which will take reference to the button, and in that we will set our main menu to false, our game menu to false, and in our create level buttons we will set our button dot on click dot add listener, and we will add our method to it. So after we have clicked, we are setting our main menu false and activating our game menu, but we also need to call our level manager to spawn the level. So if you go to our level manager, right now we are spawning our level at our start, which we don't want. Let's remove this. Here spawn level, we will create a int and we will pass in the level index, and instead of 0 we will just replace it with level index. Okay, so let's go to our UI manager. So we'll just call our level manager dot instance dot on level, and we'll set the index. So our index will be our button dot transform dot get sibling index. So in our game canvas, let's say, okay, let's assign the container, let's assign the level button, click on play. Okay, we forgot one thing. We didn't call our create level buttons in our start method, so just call it. So as you can see here, we are spawning 5 levels because we know in our level manager we have assigned only 5. So if we increase these levels, this number will also increase. And in our container, as you can see, our buttons are spawned here. So the sibling index is nothing but the index at which these buttons are. So this button is at index 0, this is at index 1, this is at index 2, and this is at index 3, and so on. With the help of this button sibling index, we will be spawning the respective level. So let's see, if I click on 2, you can see we have spawned this 2 here, and our ball just flew. For that we will add some fix, but you can see here we have just spawned our level. In that we have this 8 can, I think we have not setting it, so we also need to set our can text as well as our ball text. So for that we will go to our level manager, and in level manager, inside our spawn level method, we will set our text. So here we will set our UI manager dot instance dot can text dot text equal to available cans dot to string, and UI manager dot instance dot ball text dot text equal to available balls to string. So let's save this and go back, and let's try to play. So let's go to our level 2. So as you can see here, we have 6 can and we have 4 ball. So right now, even if we click on our level button, we are adding some force to our ball, which should not happen. So we will fix that. So let's try playing. Okay, so as you can see, we are spawning the level, but we are not reducing our text here. So for that we need to go to our level manager. Let's copy this ball text and just in our spawn wall just paste it here, and we also need a public void reduce can method. So we will call this method each time our can gets destroyed. So we will reduce our available cans by 1, and we will set our can text here, and in our get destroyed method we'll copy this, and in our can case we will call reduce can. So let's go back and try to play it again. Okay, now our balls are 2. Okay, as you can see here, our can text or can count is also reducing, as well as our ball is also reducing. Now, as you know, when we click on our level button, our ball spawns and a force is added to it, and we don't want that to happen. So for that, what we'll do is we will create a new C# script, and let's call this game manager. Now game manager will hold a few things. Double click on game manager to open it. Now we want our game manager to be singleton. So for that what we will do is we will go to our UI manager. We will copy our awake method, then we don't need this, we paste it here, and here we will type our public static game manager singleton. Okay, now let's copy this, paste it here, and paste it here. So as you know, right now what we are doing is we are just checking if singleton is equal to null. We are setting it to this script, else if it is not null we are destroying it. Now what we want to do is we don't want our game manager to be destroyed when we move from scene to scene. We want it to be constant in every scene. So once we set our singleton to this, we want to make sure we don't destroy it, so we will call our don't destroy on load. It is Unity's default method, and we'll pass this game object to it. Okay, so to decide the game status, we need some enums. which will tell us like whether our game is doing nothing, whether it is in play mode, or whether the level is complete or failed. To decide our game status, we need an enum. So for that, we will create a public enum game status, and inside that we will set few enums like none, playing, failed, and complete, and we will make it system.serializable so that we can edit it from inspector. Now in game manager, we will create a public int current level index. This variable will store on which level the player is. Then we also need a public game status, which will be equal to game status dot none by default, and it will tell us like what is our game status at present. Now let's go to our swipe controller. Now the issue we are encountering is that when we click on our level button, we go to our level. As soon as our ball is spawned, we are adding a force to it, and we don't want that to happen. So in update, we are checking here if our target object is equal to null, and if it is null, then we are returning. And we need one more check. So here we will check or game manager dot singleton dot game status is not equal to game status dot playing. So here we also check if our game status is not equal to playing, then also we will return. Now let's go to our level manager, and in level manager we have this spawn level method. So after we have spawned our level, we want to set our game status to playing. So here after we have spawned our ball, what we can do is we will just call our game manager dot singleton dot game status is equal to game status dot playing. And one more thing guys, let's go to our game manager. Here our current level index as well as our game status is public, and we don't want them to be edited from the inspector. So what we'll do is we will add a attribute called hide in inspector, and this way we won't be able to see them in our inspector. Okay, so now in level manager, we are reducing our cans. So we want to check if we have uh, 0 cans available and still few balls remaining. If that is the case, then we have won the level. So what we will do, we will check if game manager dot singleton dot game status is equal to game status dot playing, and if our available cans is less than or equal to 0, so we will set our game status to complete. So just copy this, paste it here. Instead of playing, we'll call this complete, and in our UI manager we will be creating a new method. So we'll create a public void and we'll call this game result. So here we will create a switch statement. In that we will pass our game manager dot instance dot game status, and as it is a game result method, so we will cover only game status dot failed and game status dot complete cases. So in game status dot fail, we set our game over panel dot set active to true and retry button dot set active to true. And in game status dot complete, we set our game over panel dot set active to true and next button dot set active to true. Now this method we will be calling in our level manager. So let's go to our level manager. Here we will call our UI manager dot instance dot game result, and in our spawn ball we have to check for our game over. So here in the else condition, when available balls is less than or equal to 0, we'll check if our game status is equal to game status dot playing, If it is true, then we will set our game manager dot singleton dot game status equal to game status dot failed, because our available balls are 0 and our cans are more than 1. And we will call our UI manager dot instance dot game result method. Let's create a new empty game object, reset its transform and call this game manager, and let's drag our game manager to it. So let's go to our swipe controller, and one thing we forgot to do is, you remember we created a boolean can swipe, and it was supposed to decide whether we can make, like, consider this a swipe as a swipe or not. So we just forgot to add one more if condition inside our this input dot get mouse button up. So here we will add and can swipe is true. So this set tells whether it is true or not. So it is, if it is true, then only we will call this code. So let's go back and let's try it again. I think this time it will work. So let's click on play. Okay, this time it works. So you see, no force was added to our ball. So let's shoot. Okay, we lose, and you can see we are showing our game over panel with retry button. So right now retry button does nothing, it's empty. So let's add a function to our buttons. So down here we will create two methods. One is public void retry button, and another is public void next button. So in next button we will be reloading this level. So for that we need to call using unity engine dot scene management, and here in next button we will just call scene manager dot load scene, and we are going to load this same scene. So we will call our scene manager dot get active scene, and we need its build index. Now in retry button method we are still going to reload our level, but before we reload we are going to set our game status. We will call our game manager dot singleton dot game status, and we are going to set it to none, because once we reload, basically we are in none, nothing, like our game status is none. And in our start method we are not going to create our level buttons every time. So let's say we are retrying our same level. At that time we don't need to activate our main menu and we need all these button. We can just go inside the level. So here we will check if our game manager dot singleton dot game status is equal to game status dot null. If it is true, then only we will activate our main menu and create our level button. So if it is not none, else, let's say if it is let's copy this. So let's say if it is failed, or let's copy this, or if it is completed. So when these two things are happening, we don't need to go to our main menu, we can directly go to our game scene. So for this what we'll do is we are just going to call this. So let's copy this on click button method and paste it here. So we'll be activating our game menu, we will be deactivating our main menu, and we will ask our level manager to spawn a level. And instead of a button dot transform dot get sibling index, we will call our game manager dot singleton dot current level index. Now we also need to set our current level index. So right now we are directly setting our spawn level int value to the button sibling index. So instead of that, what we can do is we will call our game manager dot singleton dot current level index, and we will make it equal to our sibling index, right? And we can then just copy this and paste it here. Let's go to our level manager, and in level manager, here we are deciding whether we have won the level or not. So once the level is complete, what we will do is we will increase our current level index of our game manager. So game manager dot singleton dot current level index plus plus. As we have completed this level, we need to progress to another level, and before that we will be checking one thing. So if our game manager dot singleton dot current index is less than our level data's dot length, so we have to make sure that our current level index is not greater than our number of levels. Okay, so let's try it in game UI canvas. In our main menu we have this. Okay, in I think game menu, retry button. Let's drag our game UI canvas, because our game UI canvas has a script called UI manager. Let's add retry button, and for next button it will be our next button. Let's click on play. Let's go to level 1, click on retry, and we are going back to our main menu. Now let's click on level 1. Let's try to win this level. uh, okay, we lose again. Let's click on retry and we go to level. Let's do one thing. It is very difficult, so let's make our ball count to 15. I think this will definitely help us to win the game. Let's go to level 1. uh, okay. Okay, as you can see here guys, we have destroyed all the cans, and still we have many balls remaining, and we are showing our game complete panel with next button. So if I click on next button, we are going to our next level. So we have, so the flow is here. We now need our sound manager to add some sounds. So in our script, let's right click and create a new C# script, and let's call this sound manager. So double click on our sound manager. So we will also make our sound manager an instance. So we'll just call our public static sound manager instance. We need a public audio source, and we will call this effect source. So you can have more audio sources, like one for music, one for sound effects, and so on. Then we need a few audio clips, so we'll create a public audio clip, and we can have a can hit effects, then game over effects, then we can have game complete effects, then ball spawn effects, throw effects, and we can have as many we want. And to decide which sound effects to perform, we need an enum. So we will create a public enum, and we will call this effects type, and inside these effect types we will have, let's copy this, same thing, nothing different. And let's select all of them, holding control shift, click on U, so all of them become caps lock. And right now I'm not setting it to system.serializable, because I really don't need any effects type to be exposed in inspector. We are just going to use it inside our script, that's it. Now let's go to our UI manager. Let's copy our awake method and just remove our start and update and paste the awake there. Now we need a method called public void playFX. Our playFX is a method which we will be calling from another scripts to play our sound effects, and it's going to take a parameter fx type, and here we will be using our switch cases. So tap, and before the switch case type will be of fx types, and you can see we are having all our cases. Now we have to play our fx, so we will call our fx source dot play one shot. So we want to play it only once, and we are going to play our can hit fx. Okay, so let's copy this and paste it here, 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 and here. And instead of can hit fx, it will be our game over fx, game complete fx, ball spawn fx, and throw fx. Okay, so mm, let's go to our level manager. Here we have, instead of going to level manager, let's go to our UI manager. Inside our UI manager, we have a method called game result. So here we can directly call the sound manager. So sound manager, so instead of here we need here, so sound manager dot instance dot play fx, and this is for fail, so fx type will be game over fx. Let's copy this, paste it here, and instead of game over, here it will be game complete fx. Then we have a swipe controller. Inside our swipe controller, we are throwing our ball. So here, after we set our can swipe equal to false, we will call our play fx. It will be of throw fx. Okay, now we also need fx for spawning our ball. So in level manager, where we spawn our ball, so here we are spawning our ball. So here we will paste, and our fx type will be ball spawn fx. And we also need something to detect our can hit. So let's go to our editor, and inside our editor, let's right click and create a C# script, and let's call this ball controller. Let's double click on it to open it in editor. We don't need our start and update method, so we can remove them. And we need here on collision, so just type on collision, enter, and just press enter, and you can see we get this method. So here we will check if our collision, so this collision is this one, dot collider dot tag is equal to our can. So we need to set the tag of our can to can. So if it is a can, then we will play our can hit effects. So can hit effects, let's go back to our editor. So in our ball, uh, let's open our prefab and drag our ball controller to it. Okay, in our can, open our prefab, and you can see we already have a tag can which is assigned to it, which is good. Let's go back. Let's create a empty game object, reset its transform, and call this sound manager, and let's drag our sound manager to it. We need a source, audio source. So click on add component and search for audio source, and it is a fx source, so we don't want play on awake. So just deselect it, drag our audio source to our fx source. Then we need our references to audio clips. So one is for can hit, one is for game over, one is for game complete, one is for throwing, and one is for ball spawn. So if I click on play, so let's try to listen. So I hope you guys must have heard the sound. So we are already showing like our sound effects for throwing our ball, game complete, and all those. Let's open UI Manager. Now in UI Manager, in our retry button, we are setting this. We don't need this. Let's remove this, or instead of removing, let's call this home button. So home button, and for retry as well as for next button, we will be using same button. So I will call this next retry button. Okay, let's go back. Now, um, in our game UI canvas, inside our game over. So for our retry next button, if we go, we have nothing here. So just go select UI manager and select our next retry button. And for our top bar, we have this retry button. Instead of calling it a retry button, we will call this home button. And let's go inside image, and instead of using retry image, we will use our home image, and here we will call the home method. So now if I click on play, and let's go, we click on this home button, we go to our main menu, and if I click on retry, we go back to the same level. So this is it for this video, guys. I hope you have learned something and enjoyed the video. So I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye and take care.